put it, but correct me if I'm wrong here, Collar, but doesn't it seem like the Vikings are trying to improve their chances to get back into Super Bowl contendership, not by adding better personnel, because they might not be able to even break even with personnel, but by adding a better offensive system. That they're sort of the bet that they're placing is Kevin Stefanski and Gary Kubiak together and a different offensive scheme collectively is going to raise the water level more than A, John DeFilippo, and B, any personnel moves we can make with a limited cap, right?
And they're going to have to bet on Elfline getting better, O'Neal getting better, at least Riley Reef not falling off, because what he gave them last year was average tackle play or a little below, especially when they were going up against anybody who was good. But he also battled injuries last year too. They're going to have to kind of hope that those things go a little better, because unless they get Roger Saffold or this right tackle Juwan James or maybe Daryl Williams, unless they get one of those guys, then I think they're not significantly improving the line through free agency, and they can potentially through the draft. But a lot of it is that DeFilippo made life a little harder on the offensive line than it needed. I would also say Kirk Cousins did that as well. How many times did we see him on a third down, patting the ball, not being able to find a place to go, not getting rid of it? He was 17th in the league from snap to release.
Yeah.
I mean, that hurts your offensive line. That makes it harder. So what they're going to try to do is probably get the ball out of his hands quicker, run more zone play action, which gets the defensive line moving. They're going to try to help the offensive line. So even if they can't significantly improve the talent outside of maybe a draft pick or bringing back Nick Easton, which is an improvement, but not like a massive one, they are really banking on this Kevin Stefanski, Gary Kubiak to be the difference. The problem is when you lose Anthony Barr, if you don't replace him with someone just as good like Jamie Collins or someone like that, and you try to piece that together, and then, maybe if you don't get Sheldon back because someone swoops in and decides they're going to take him, and then, somebody gets hurt or Everson isn't at the same level, and then your defense goes from 4th to 11th, where it's still good because of Mike Zimmer, but it's not perfect. Do we kind of end up with that, well, you were a little more efficient on offense, but you weren't as good on defense, and then you're kind of in the same place. And this is the tough balance. Whereas I thought about if you go all in with pouring money into the offensive line, but also playmakers, draft picks on the offensive side, you kind of protect yourself against that a little bit, because a great offense is going to outweigh some of your shortcomings on defense. You know what I mean? So if you're the 15th best defense, you're not that far away from being one of the better defense in the league. If you're the 15th best offense, you are in a different planet than the Kansas City Chiefs were last year. And I think in order to get deep into the playoffs, you got to be one of those top 4 or 5 teams offensively.
Yeah, and to become a top 4 or 5 team offensively without a top 4 or 5 quarterback, it's skill position players, it's blocking, it's scheme, it's things that you're propping Kirk Cousins up with.
And this also goes back to my question for the last few months, which is this league just changing? Are the Vikings built on a model that might not work, and that therefore, because it's become such an offensively driven league, that you have to just flip to that side? Now,